Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the man who has not gotten the coronavirus yet, Steven.
You're gonna feel really bad if
In
between
a week you
us
have
recording
the
this
coronavirus.
and this going live, I just start coughing up everything.
I mean,
And I'm just like,
real talk, not to make too much light of the situation, it's very possible that I contracted the coronavirus this weekend because I went down to a wedding on the coast, and it may be the last wedding that is going to happen, period, in America for the next several months, but I was there. And the only death we've had in Mississippi from the coronavirus has been from the coast, so here I am. But anyway, this is ChortleCast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. And today, we're going to talk about the PS5 full spec reveal. We're going to talk about our thoughts on E3 being canceled, among the plethora of things that have been canceled. And then we're going to catch up a little bit, talk about Animal Crossing, because that's the one joy in life right now. And then just, a plethora of other stuff. But before we do that, we've kind of already mentioned it and talked about it, but yes, in America right now, we are pretty much in it is a pandemic. We're under the coronavirus pandemic. Most cities in America are under some sort of, shelter in place or, some sort of lockdown where only essential businesses are open. Most restaurants, you can't dine at the restaurants. You have to pick up or
Right.
order out. And I'm sure most of you listening, if you're watching somewhat within the time frame of now, a lot of us are all in the same situation. But I just kind of wanted to talk about what our experience has been, mine and Steven's. And I'll just kind of go first. From a channel standpoint, really the only thing we missed last week doing a podcast, which is why we're just now getting to really talk about this. I wouldn't say that was because of the coronavirus. It was a bunch of other things, but it was a bunch of other things that moved because of the coronavirus. So it was really just a big scheduling conflict, but the corona kind of caused all that. But we're still live streaming. We're still doing a lot of our stuff. We're fortunate that from a channel standpoint, a lot of our stuff doesn't really happen in person anyway. And even if it did happen in person, it's usually just me and Steven. So that's, within safe parameters, just two people. I think most places it's like don't meet in groups over 10 people. So, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But just to get personal for a little bit, my day-to-day has not changed that much. My wife, Lee Allison, she's been sent home. She's been working from home for the past week, maybe a little more than that. So it's been different because every day I come home for lunch, she's there, which has been great. And it's honestly been great for her because she's been working. But, when you work from home, you do what you got to do, and then you're sitting on the couch here in your PJs. I mean, it's so much nicer and better. And when you're done with what you got to do for the day, you're already home, so there's no commute, there's nothing. So I think she's been enjoying that. But she's honestly had the biggest change in my circle. I work for a professional video production company, and we're still coming into the office. We only have like 5 people on staff, or really only 4 in my immediate area. And we all just edit every day. So we're just kind of all in our separate edit bays, just kind of grinding away. What's really changed and affected for us is that we've had a lot of jobs either cancel or postpone because of this whole mess. And, at first we were like, oh, it's just going to be a week. Oh, maybe a month. Now we don't really know when some of these things are going to be able to pick back up and go. So from that standpoint, it's been kind of scary because, I'm still going to work. I'm still getting paid right now. But if it gets bad enough, I might, we might have to shut down for a week. I might not get paid for a week or something like that. I might not have a job for a month, something like that. So that's been kind of scary, but, and then again, another thing I do, I shoot wedding videos, and that has been probably the most stressful part of this whole deal for me. And I know for people who are getting married, it's even more stressful. Because everything is just so uncertain. No one knows what dates are safe. We know at least a month right now, but I've got weddings that are in June who are calling me and they're like, what are our options? Like, if we have to cancel, if it gets that bad, what can we do? So it's just kind of a scary time. I've only had a couple weddings actually postponed to August, which I hope is a safe enough date, but I don't know. Stephen, what's been your experience?
Man, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
So I work at a church. That's my job. And when this whole thing started, there was the whole recommendation: no groups of 200 or more meeting at a time.
Right.
And we're a larger church compared to what you would think of an average church to be.
Right.
So when that happened, it was like, okay, we need to think of something to do. How to move forward with our church services, with our Wednesday night programming, and with our day-to-day kind of stuff. And every single day, I feel like that number that was recommended just kept getting smaller and smaller until we landed on no more than 10.
Yeah.
And so that's been an adjustment, because on the average Sunday morning, you've got a full band on stage, you've got a guy leading them, and 6 singers, someone interpreting for any people who might be deaf, like a sign language interpreter. Then you've got my team, which is 3 cameras, 2 sound guys, a light guy, me, and then a graphics operator. We exceed 10 easily.
We haven't even gotten to the crowd yet, and it's exceeded 10.
And so where we landed on was, we have been live streaming. We always do live stream, but now we are basically saying this is the only way we're meeting. So we've been doing that. But also, when they did the whole no more than 10 thing, we've been trying to figure out, okay, well, how can we get people to engage with their small groups, like their Sunday school crowd? So they decided, okay, well, let's make videos so they can do like a small group session at home, where they can follow with what we do. It's like, oh, okay, so that's another video.
Yeah.
And the pastor was like, I think it'd be a good idea to do a Facebook Live devotion. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. That's another video. We're still doing 2 podcasts every week. And then we've got videos that we're making as like packages to go online and to go with the service. So while a lot of people have been affected where they have less work to do because they're working from home and all that stuff, when you work at a church that has a pretty, like I said, large following compared to what you'd think an average church to be, and you stop being able to meet in person, and your title is media coordinator, which is what that's my title. You become a lot more busy and a lot more important when everything becomes media.
Right.
And that's been my experience. I've been staying busy, trying to figure out how does the church reach people when we can't reach, we can't invite them in.
Right.
And so that's been an interesting adjustment, but and I'm going to try to avoid using church language because there are a lot of words that, a lot of phrases that may not make sense to the average person, but I am really proud of the buy-in that's happened, both internally and externally. We've adapted really well.
Right.
I feel like the staff has been very okay, let's figure this out. Let's come to terms with what this is, whether it's for a long time or not. We need to make a solution, and we have. So we've been responding, I feel, pretty effectively. So that's been keeping me very busy,
Right.
both in house and at the actual building.
Right.
But I've been working from home a ton. I've been working on site a ton. So there's been that. Anna is still working. Her schedule basically hasn't changed. And I feel for her because it's a tough job.
Right.
We were going to take a trip to New York.
Really? Like in a few months?
Last week.
Oh my gosh.
We were supposed to get back today.
Wow.
Because
was this a surprise trip? Did I know about this and I just forgot?
We just haven't talked about it a ton because
Right.
it was something we've been talking about for a while, and then we booked it at the beginning of the month. Before everything blew up, like literally days before. But because our wedding anniversary is a week from today.
Right.
And so this was going to be our trip where we could just, get away. Anna loves to travel. Her favorite hobby is probably travel. So we were going to do that. And then this whole thing happened, and it was just like, hey, where's the last place you want to be when there's a rapidly spreading virus of some kind?
A major city.
New York.
Mm-hmm.
The major city.
Right.
So we had to make the call that was like, we can't go, so we're just going to figure this out at a later time. And then we began the process of trying to cancel and get our money back to some extent. We booked with Travelocity.
Okay.
And we tried for about 7 days, nonstop, because they requested that don't try to cancel or make any changes or anything until you're 7 days out, so that they can keep things under control.
Right.
We tried nonstop.
Right.
Never even got a person.
Dang.
I've still been getting app notifications about our flights, being like, "Oh, your flight leaves at this time," because Travelocity still thinks we're going, even though we've tried to cancel constantly.
Right.
Like their machines know that we've tried to cancel. We've documented every attempt. So we're possibly out a good bit of money.
Right.
And we didn't like go nuts on planning stuff.
Right.
It was a moderate trip, but it's still, money that's suddenly way more important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I actually ended up getting a human, I think. They said hello and then hung up on me.
Oh my gosh.
And I had waited for 40 minutes. So yeah, Travelocity, I'm not being like, boo, Travelocity sucks, don't go with them, because ultimately no one was prepared for this.
Right.
Everyone was caught off guard.
Everyone went from
being it went from that thing that was just like, oh, well, that's over there in China.
Right.
We're fine. We're America. That side of the world doesn't touch us.
Right.
And then and it happened, and then suddenly everybody was like, oh,
we got to take it seriously. Yeah.
Right. So
I just want to interject and say I hate using services like Travelocity, those sorts of places, because I've always gotten screwed on hotel rooms from them. Like I'll book something through them, and then I'll get to the hotel and they'll be like, we have no record of what you're talking about. And I had a hotel worker one time tell me, they were like, did you book with whoever? I was like, yeah. And they were like, yeah, it is always better to book with your hotel directly. So I never book a hotel now unless I can get somebody at that hotel on the phone and say, I want a room this night, whatever. So anyway, sorry, just to interject.
But yeah, and I'm not trying to speak ill of them.
Right.
Because they weren't prepared, and they've been scrambling.
Right.
And it shows, and they've been trying to do things where it's like, hey, we're making changes where you can cancel or change travel plans on the app or online and stuff like that, which is good to see that they were trying to make those changes, turning crisis mode into let's improve.
Right.
Did it happen? Not yet.
Right.
But that's just been crazy. What else?
I know, just to kind of interject of just things that have, just general things that are going on. You mentioned, y'all are losing money, and I hate that for you. And you kind of said this of like, this is the worst time to lose money right now. Because like you kind of told me this earlier, and you might take a pay cut because everybody's trying to conserve money to survive. And like I said, I'm expecting, if this doesn't pick up and calm down by the end of April, I'm fully expecting my office to shut down the month of June, and I may go a month without a paycheck. We are the lucky ones in that whole situation. There are people who are just straight up out of a job. My mom works for a dental clinic, and they straight up fired everybody but her and the two main doctors. And they have all those people have a job waiting for them when this situation's over. But they had to let them go, kind of with the idea in mind that they could go ahead and get on unemployment. That way they'd be making $200 or so a week, as opposed to just working one day a week, which is all they would be able to afford, And if they did, if they kept everybody employed, there may not even be a clinic for them to come back to at the end of all this. So that, to me, I don't know what your thoughts are on the virus in general, Stephen, and how America's been dealing with it. And I know we're probably going to talk about grocery stores in a minute, of just people panicking. This whole time, I have not so much been worried about the virus as I have been people's reaction to the virus.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
And not to say that the virus is not dangerous. It's certainly dangerous to a lot of people, and a lot of people could potentially die from this, and we need to take it very seriously. But I just know from the statistics I'm seeing, I know that I personally am not likely to fall victim to the situation, which doesn't mean that I should go out and be social and whatever. I still need to follow social distancing, not to protect myself, but really to protect other people that I may come in contact with. Like my mother-in-law is somebody with immune deficiencies, so I'm very concerned about her. I've got we all have grandparents who we're all very concerned about at this point in time. So not to make light of that, but I'm more worried about what happens after this, right? Because the stock market dropped, and I'm not a big stock person, but that's never good. And then a lot of people just are going without jobs and are going to have to figure something out for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Who knows? It really just depends on how far it goes. But Stephen, I feel like you were going to go from there. What do you? What's your grocery story? I know you've got a couple grocery store stories.
I mean, I haven't personally been to the grocery store yet.
Right.
But we tried doing online pickup. And the soonest we could get it was 2 days after we made the order. Right. And the morning when we were supposed to pick up the order, which was last week, they canceled it because people are panicking.
Right.
And I agree with what you said, and I've been saying this since the beginning. Our virus needs to be taken seriously, just so that it can be squashed out.
Right. Flatten the curve. That's what we're trying to do.
But the immediate danger is always the human element. Right. How people respond to crisis. Right. And right now, people are. It really just shows the nature of really America, like the average American. We're selfish, horrible people. We just are. Because the moment we think that something can affect us individually, we immediately go to those every man for himself. We lose all empathy. Right. And we just are just like, who cares if the elderly need supplies? Mm-hmm. I need supplies. Mm-hmm. I want to retain comfort, so I'm gonna take everything I can. Screw them. What do they matter? And that is how society falls. That is how you reach panic hysteria. You start to have riots and violence and just society and order lives and dies by man itself.
Right.
And you got people down here specifically, and I know this is a thing elsewhere as well. Guns and ammo are going fast.
Mm-hmm.
And
which that scares me because you know, a lot toilet paper is the kind of meme thing, but it's a real deal. I literally today just went to, right before we started this podcast, I went to the grocery store and was getting some stuff, like we needed Dr. Pepper, some like Slim Fast drinks, you know, yada yada, just minor stuff, and I'm trying to buy, you know, just what we need. But I was just like, you know, I know we've got some toilet paper, but let me just go see. And they straight up had like 7 Walmart employees guarding a cart of toilet paper, and you had to just about like sign something, and you had to get in line, and they would only give you one thing, and they were just very, very restricted about it. So it's, you know, it's crazy how that is all happening. I saw 1 or 2 people like off to the side on the phone, like they're only giving one, like I can't believe this, yada yada yada. So it's crazy how people are going and doing with all of this.
And you know what's amazing is that, and I hate people. I just hate people. You've got people that are going out there, stocking up at every single store, going to multiple stores, with that mentality of, the more toilet paper I have, the more power I'll have in the new world, like that whole kind of thing.
Right.
Leaving nothing for anyone else. Those same idiots are filling up restaurants, going to the movie theater, going shopping, getting themselves exposed, or potentially exposing other people. They're the problem.
Right.
They are the actual problem that we're dealing with.
Right.
A virus like this only spreads as far as we take it.
Right.
And these people are just making it worse. Right. And I get it that it's rough. You got people out there who are out of a job, especially I know several people who work at restaurants.
Yep.
They're living in fear right now. And the problem is there's so many people that are so unwilling to just change their lives a little bit for a little while to help this thing, because it's either live in mild to moderate discomfort for a few weeks, or live in mild discomfort for months,
right,
possibly longer. And these people are so selfish that they aren't willing to sacrifice anything, and they are the problem.
Yeah. And
I'm not worried about contracting coronavirus personally.
Right.
But I'm worried about the effect it's going to have on our country, both in the economy and the people that are vulnerable to it. And there's just so much hostility that's growing out of this.
Yeah. That's what I'm most afraid of with people buying guns and ammo, especially in our area. And my boss has kind of jokingly said, he's like, I'm buying it because I'm going to defend myself. Like, I'm going to defend everything. And it's just like, are we really going to come to that point where people start killing each other again? You know, it's just, it's a scary time. So all of this to say, you know, if you're listening, you know, first off, just stay indoors. Only go out for what you need. Only get what you need when you go. Don't take too much from others.
Yeah,
and then be kind.
Be kind.
Absolutely. Be kind to everyone you meet. We're all going through hardships. Try to help people where you can. You know, Stephen, you kind of mentioned the church, and, you know, as a channel, we're welcoming to all people, but this is a great time for Christians to reach out and be a helping hand to anybody. So just to all of you out there listening and watching, just be kind. And the only way we're going to get through this is together, separately, in our own little homes, social distancing. But we're going to get through this together, and it's going to be fine. But anyway, I think that's enough Corona talk. Steven, are you ready to dive into some video game news?
Sure.
Alrighty. To get on to the more serious, the real talk of the podcast. No, I'm just joking. It's really funny how, I've been really bummed about like E3 canceling and like been afraid of like video games delaying or movies even delaying. And I just kind of laugh because it's like, none of this stuff matters. It's like none of this matters in the grand scheme of things, but it's still something we want to listen and talk about. So first, let's just talk about E3. So this is old news at this point, but E3 was officially canceled. I guess it was a few weeks ago now. Xbox has already said, they're going to do some sort of online proponent. PlayStation was already out, so who knows when we'll have a state of play. There might be a state of play around there. I'm sure Nintendo will continue to do their direct style stuff. So
Ubisoft is doing a press conference as well.
Absolutely. So we're still getting an E3. But Steven, what are your kind of top level thoughts about E3 getting canceled, and what do you think that's going to do?
It's hard to recover from that.
Right.
Because you are giving every single entity that normally involves itself with E3.
Right.
You're giving them. You're not even giving them. You're forcing them to see if they can still get the benefits from E3 without it.
Right.
Because it was a bold move for Sony to do it when they did, and a lot of people thought they were crazy. But now they're basically handed the opportunity to not have to make the choice. The choice has been made for them.
Right.
It's either do it yourself or you just don't have it. And so it's hard to come back from that. E3 is going to have to be very different next year, or it's just going to cease to be.
Yeah. What I kind of foresee is E3 coming back next year and it not being a public showcase anymore. It going back to a invitation-only press, influencers event. And I imagine we will have more like direct style conferences and less press conferences like we've had in the past, which, it still remains to be seen how Ubisoft's going to do their video, because really Sony and Nintendo at this point are the only two who do a direct style press conference. But I imagine that after this year, everyone might do that. But again, they may just film a press conference like as if it's normal. But I don't think we'll see press conferences anymore after this. I do think E3, the show, like the show floor, where Nintendo does its booth and all that stuff, I imagine that will come back. I think it's going to be smaller, and I really think unless they're opening it to the public to try and fund, to like make money off of it, which I imagine that's why they did it in the first place. That's the only reason I would see it be open to the public again. But I just feel like next year it's going to be smaller in as far as scope of the actual event. I still hope that the week long, here's new, game news, just a lot of loud volume of information coming all at that E3 week. I hope that will continue, because that's my favorite time of the year. I just love coming home, literally just turning on someone's live broadcast and just listening to all the stuff that's getting announced at E3. I hope that environment will continue even this year, but even going forward, if people decide they don't want to do it like we have every other year going forward.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't think this is the end of E3 yet, but it's the end of E3 as we know it. for sure. Let's talk about the Nintendo's Indie Showcase. Steven, did you get to watch the showcase at all?
I did not.
Well, you missed a doozy. Has anyone told you about Exit the Gungeon?
I have it, and I've played it.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. That was the only one that was their like mic drop moment at the end, was that, and it was like the only thing that they were like, released today. And I was like, that's great. I'm pretty sure it came out on Apple Arcade though already, so I'm not sure if it's the exact same game, but it's there. But anyway,
it's interesting.
Do what?
It's interesting.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. It looked like like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the game that came out on Apple Arcade, and so I feel like that affects it a little bit. It's probably not as fleshed out.
It kind of feels like that.
Does it? Okay. Yeah, I bet that's what it is. I don't want to go through a full list of games. Just from my general impressions, it was kind of a meh show. There weren't any just major game announcements. There's a sizzle reel at the end that had a bunch of, bigger game titles that we already knew were coming, that just had like official release dates and stuff. So that was, exciting. But there weren't a ton of major games that I was just like, ooh, yeah. And normally in these indie showcases, there are a lot of games that are like, it's out today, or it's out tonight, or, it comes out next week. Like there's usually like really quick announcements. Almost all of the games shown had summer 2020, spring 2020, whatever. It just wasn't, there weren't a lot of concrete details. So that was kind of a bummer for me, but I'll just pull some highlights, some stuff that I thought looked interesting. There was this game called Aldo. It basically looks like Zelda meets a Miyazaki movie, it has a very similar style to Ni no Kuni.
Okay.
So it's an indie developed JRPG. Looks good. There was an interesting looking game called I Am Dead, which it has kind of a what was that game? The raccoon Donut County, the one where you play as the whole, it has that kind of art style. But you play as a guy who's dead in a small town, and it looks like it's going to be kind of like a puzzle game, like you're trying to help out people in the town as a ghost. It looked very, very interesting to me. I was kind of all in until it was like, you're a ghost, and it just kind of showed you're not even, like, you don't see yourself, but you're like moving through walls and stuff, and it's just kind of first person. It was very, I was on board. I've got to see more before I know if I want to play it or not. They did Cyanide and Happiness has a game that's coming to the Switch now. So that's the thing that's happening. You liked this what's the show? The Stick of Truth and
South Park.
South Park, thank you. It looked a lot like South Park, Stick of Truth, and those other games. So
Fractured Butthole, yeah.
Fractured Butthole, yep, that's it. So if you like Cyanide and Happiness and you liked those style games, those might be something to look in for you. Summer of Mara was another kind of Zelda Wind Waker looking game. You sail around to different islands and solve puzzles and interact with characters and people. I'm trying to think of The Good Life, which if you keep I follow a lot of indie developers on Twitter, so I hear about a lot of games before they're even really like I'll see a thumbnail for a game and be like, ooh, I gotta follow this. So The Good Life is one that it's been on my radar for a little while. They showed some gameplay of that. It's basically it's a game. I imagine it plays a lot like Detective Pikachu. You're a girl, you're like a reporter reporting on this town that is the world's happiest town in the English countryside. But the mystery is that at night or on any full moon nights, all the inhabitants turn into dogs and cats. And so you play as a girl, a dog, and a cat, and you solve a mystery, and it's coming to Switch in 2020. So that one was very interesting. I'm excited. You get to ride sheep too, Steven. Doesn't that sound fun?
That sounds pretty bad.
Can always count on Steven for a good pun. The Last Campfire, which is by Hello Games, developers of No Man's Sky. This is just a little indie game. It looks very Journey-esque. Looks like there's going to be some puzzle solving. It's a beautiful looking game. Just not something I was super interested in. I'm just kind of flicking through, trying to find. That's the other thing. There were a lot of things that just did not even really. I just didn't look interested in at all. There was one. This was kind of a brief showing. This was in that highlight reel. There's a Ghost of a Tale. You play as like a mouse. Kind of looks like an action RPG kind of thing. Sky Children of Light, which has been an Apple iOS game for the longest time, made by the developers of Journey, that game company. That game is finally coming to Switch, so I've put it off for the longest time on my iPhone, so I'm finally going to play it now that it's coming to Switch. Superliminal, which has been a game that's been announced before. There was this interesting game called Wingspan, and it's really pretty. It's got like illustrations of like a bird watcher type game. I'm not really sure how it works because the gameplay was very confusing, but the art style was really pretty. And that's pretty much. Oh, Moving Out, which is the Overcooked but moving. Yes. That one got its announcement. It's coming out April 28th. So we're gonna have to figure out how to play that at some point, Steven. There's a free demo apparently on the Nintendo eShop right now. I didn't realize that, but there you go. And then they ended with Exit to the Gungeon, and you already said it's weird. So
yeah, it's basically Enter the Gungeon, but it's 2D, like side scrolling, and like it's kind of funny. It's got the humor. Right. I played the tutorial, and the guy's teaching you how to move and everything, and you can jump now. And as soon as you, because it's side scroll with like verticality rather than just going like top down. Okay, all right. So when you jump, the guy to give the tutorial goes, "What was that? Wait, do that again? Could the legends be true?" And as you're jumping, he's eventually like, "I've heard legends of the vertical dodge roll." And he's like, "You were destined to come here. You've mastered the vertical dodge roll." It's just a jump. It's really like so that it's got good humor, but it very much feels like a spin-off arcade kind of title where it's less about like the rooms don't have as much depth. It's like single screens and you have to survive on the single screens. It's kind of how it feels. But who knows? Who knows? It's nice. At least it was an out today type thing, and not something you had to wait on. I think that would have been a much more or a less impactful announcement. But anyway, just kind of a lackluster showcase altogether. But I'm always excited about indies. So, all right, let's talk about PlayStation. So this week, PlayStation did a full PS5 spec reveal. They did a 52-minute presentation with Mark Cerny, I think that's his name, who I guess is the lead architect of the PS5. And he did a deep dive into specs and how things work and SSD drives and teraflops and the whole nine yards. And I know we've gotten like Wired articles. And Steven, did you watch this presentation at all? No. I didn't either. Because I saw a deep dive into technical specs, and I said, this is not for me. I was like, and I even told myself, I was like, if they show gameplay, I'm okay with missing it. Because I was like, I am going to be so bored the rest of the time that it's just, I will catch up on the rest of it. I don't want to watch this 52-minute thing. But basically, they revealed tech specs. They talked about ray tracing. They talked about 3D audio. Which is going to be, you're going to be able to better detect where things are based on the audio. They talked about a lot of other stuff. You can find the full specs and read through that. I am not a
a super technical person. I don't understand what a lot of these technical specs mean. I very much wish they would have shown us something. Like Xbox has been talking about their improvements, and they've been showing gameplay of, Gears of War. Like, here's Gears of War on the Xbox One S, but then
Right.
the Xbox Series S, here it is, and it's going faster, and the load times are really quick, and here's how the quick resume works, or, whatever, all that. And Sony didn't even talk about anything like that. They didn't mention a quick resume, or they didn't talk about the smart delivery, I think is what Xbox calls it, which is basically any Xbox game that you have, you can upgrade it to your Xbox Series S when you get one free of charge. And that's going to be that way for all their first party things. And then Cyberpunk came out and said that's how it's going to work for our game too, et cetera, et cetera. We still haven't heard that from PlayStation. So overall, I wasn't disappointed because I didn't sit there and watch the 52-minute thing, but I'm underwhelmed by the news coming out of it. And to move on to what I really want to talk about, one of the things that's been kind of up in the air, I think, for most of us, is the backwards compatibility for the PS5.
Yep.
One of those early Wired articles said it's going to be backwards compatible. Oh, yay, great, awesome. But then we started hearing rumors of like, oh, well, it's only going to be for certain things. Oh, well, it's going to be for that. And so I've been under the question of like, maybe I misread that article. Maybe they didn't say this. Who knows? But now they've come out and said, and in their blog, they kind of fine-tuned this, but basically the PS4 will be able to play almost all of the top 100 PS4 games. There are over 4,000 games on PS4,
Yep.
and they are only going to be able to play almost all of the top 100 PS4 games.
Yep.
How? I'm hurt. I'm very much, I do have the mentality of old game is old. Like once I've beaten a game, I'm good to move on. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I constantly have to go back. It's nice to have that luxury and an ability to go back. The thing I'm really bummed about is I'm watching Xbox and I'm looking at all this stuff they're talking about. We've been talking about how, Games Pass is this great service. And I'm looking at next gen on Xbox and I'm like, oh man, if Sony can just match this, I'll be happy. We don't even have to exceed them. I just want to match some of this stuff. And here we are, PlayStation's not going to be able to backwards compatible all of our games. It's going to be a hit and miss of what I can go back and play on the PS5.
Right.
I'm bummed. You said once before, Steven, you were like, I wonder if Xbox like called Sony and was just like, can you guys like cut us some slack? Like, could you back off? Like, could you just fumble for a little bit? And I feel like they've almost taken it too far. You know what I mean?
It really does feel like Sony is letting Xbox breed competition, and they are basically like, because competition is ultimately good for the industry,
right?
But I don't know why. Like, if they were at the point, which they I feel like they were, they dominated this console generation,
right?
PlayStation did, and I don't know. Maybe they were thinking, let's catch our breath while they catch up,
right?
I don't know, because they do know that it's their round to lose, basically. So Xbox has to bring it.
Right.
So they have the position of basically having the high ground. They get to be reactive. But like, when are they going to start reacting?
Right. That's my thing. And I all in all, I feel like Xbox has jumped the gun a little bit. Like, they've been talking a lot without really. I mean, they're doing better than PlayStation about showing and telling us. PlayStation's only been telling us at this point. Like, we at least have seen the Xbox. We haven't seen the PlayStation yet. We have a logo and we have some info, but that's it. We know some games that are coming to the Xbox One S. we know some games that are coming to the PS5, but they're third-party games. You know, there's a lot of information that we don't have yet on the PlayStation. And I think Xbox has maybe jumped the gun. Like a lot of the announcements they've made last year, I feel like they could have started making this year, and it would have been a better, I don't know, a road of like every month there's some new little nugget of info, almost kind of like usually when how Nintendo does Smash Brothers, how like in the build up there's you know, every month there's like some new piece of news, like, oh, this music is going to be there, or here's a new level, or whatever. I don't know. I feel like they both, well, Xbox has jumped the gun a little bit, but yeah, Sony at some point, sooner rather than later, needs to have a big presentation. Like if the next State of Play doesn't have like a huge reveal, I don't know what they're thinking. Because it's April, it's March right now. April, June, July, August, September, October, November is when we think the Xbox One S is coming out or whatever. That's 7 months. You know, really within the next 2 months, I feel like they've got to say something. They've got to do a big reveal, talk about the games that are coming, you know, give us a release date, all the stuff that we want to know. And it's like, once they do that, once they just put it all out there, I think a lot of these concerns and the hunger that we have right now for PlayStation information is going to die down. And we're going to be sated. And now we're just going to be hyped for the next 5 months to get to whatever. But I don't know if they're just waiting for Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima to come out. Is that maybe what they're waiting for?
It's possible. If I were them in their situation right now, I don't know if this is what they're doing, but this would make the most sense to me, is that I would wait. Is anything up for pre-order yet?
No.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
You mean like for the PlayStation 5?
Yeah, for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, like no money is being taken yet.
Ooh, I don't know. I'd like to think that probably at Amazon and GameStops and, you know, those sorts of people probably have some sort of thing in place for the Xbox One X, Series X. But I don't know. I typically don't pre-order things until there is until there is a release date. Once I see a release date, then I go looking for pre-orders. So I don't know if we're quite to that point yet, but I don't know. Let's assume no for sake of whatever you're about to say.
So let's assume that no one is taking pre-orders yet because there's no price point, whatever. If I was Sony, I would be waiting, watching Microsoft place every single one of their cards on the table. Because it comes to the point where Sony, their cards are close to their chest. They know what they can reveal, but they don't know what the market needs or wants them to reveal. Right. So once Xbox has shown everything they have up their sleeve, if there's one thing about consumers, especially gamers, a lot of them are very impulsive with purchase.
Right.
So with Sony, all they really have to do is take note of what's been received well about Xbox's, about Series X news, and say, okay, how can we spin that to where buying a PlayStation is an advantage over that good thing?
Right.
And they just have to make, like you were saying, a good state of play where they just show all this information right before it goes on the market.
Right.
Because you get these people super excited about, like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. Oh my gosh, look at the games that are going to be on it. And you give them a next step immediately where they can, like, it's pre-order now, here. They'll crush Xbox.
Right.
Because people will have forgotten about all that stuff about Xbox. Because with people, if you can get them, like, all the information on the table and then give them a next step, like, this can be yours here.
Yep.
You've got them.
That's going to be a much easier
that
sell.
Would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense to me if that's what Sony is doing, is that they're really waiting because they know that hype right now doesn't really matter because their whole thing is PlayStation is where the best games are.
Right.
Even though Xbox has also tried saying that, but Sony actually can back it.
Right. I mean, Xbox is setting up. They're not far from being set up to say they do have the games. They've been buying up studios left and right. They just don't have anything to show for it yet.
But the difference is when Sony says it, we agree.
Right.
The general consensus in the consumer side of things is that PlayStation has the best games.
Right.
So Sony knows that, again, it's their match to lose. Right now, like, I know nothing about the PlayStation 5, really, because I haven't really cared until I know who all is getting a PlayStation 5, so I need to know if I need to buy in or not.
Right.
All I know, which this is enough for me, is that the better games, the better exclusives are going to be on it.
Right.
And I have a PC, so that's irrelevant.
And I'm a PC master race, so I don't really care.
Yeah, well, But so if Sony is going to prove that it's better to stay on ship than it is to jump ship,
right,
they need to wait till the last moment when people are going to start making that decision and making purchases, and they need to just blow it out of the park and show everyone that, like, who cares what Xbox does?
Right.
We have the games. Here's the specs. Here's the crazy features you're going to be able to do on it. Why wouldn't you get a PlayStation?
Right. Well, I just hope. I think that makes a lot of sense what you're saying. The only thing to me is, we're 7 months out from a launch. A lot of the hardware is already designed. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're fine-tuning some stuff. I'm sure they're figuring some final details out. But I would imagine that any features, any programs they have set up or built into the hardware, like the smart delivery or all that stuff, if they're watching Xbox announcing stuff like that now and they're thinking, shoot, we don't have anything like that, or we weren't planning to do anything like that. Like, I don't know if they have enough time at this point to figure out how to do that for their system and match it. So I would
say it's less about changing course of the product, and it's
more about the messaging.
It's about the messaging and taking note of what is important to the consumer, so that they can spin it to advertise the product that they've already got on deck.
Gotcha.
Because if people are suddenly like, oh, that smart delivery system or whatever for the Xbox, it's called that's really cool. Like, if people are freaking out about that, and Sony has something similar in mind, then they can suddenly be like, okay, that's a priority to communicate that to people looking at our system, because they are looking for us to answer to it.
Right. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Well, I don't know. Hopefully they'll do it soon. To wrap this up, I do want to just mention, so this what they did with Mark Cerny was supposed to be a GDC presentation, but obviously GDC got canceled. So I really am curious to know if this would have been streamed had we not been in this pandemic, because I feel like this was probably going to be more of a sit-down presentation with developers, and obviously some IGN or games spot people would be in there, and they'd get the headlines out later. But I think the fact that it got streamed, to tons of gamers who are hungry for information, that's part of the disappointment that's floating around, because we were all kind of expecting anything. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure I said that so people weren't like, hey, it was, wasn't supposed to be this way. But anyway, all right, well, that's enough news. That's all the news I've got to talk about. Let's just do a little catch up, Stephen. We've already caught up a fair amount just talking about coronavirus stuff, but I've got to talk about Animal Crossing. Are you ready to just listen to the wonderful stories of Animal Crossing? It's been day 3 on the island, Stephen.
What time limit should I give you?
I don't know. Just let me have this, Steven. Let me have this moment. You know
when do I need to start playing the music like they do at the Oscars when they talk too long?
I don't know. Just stop me if it gets too long. I don't think I'll go that one. But it's day 3 on the island. I'm loving Animal Crossing. It has been so much fun. Steven, have you ever played an Animal Crossing at all?
Nope.
So as far as I know, the very first one was the GameCube. And that was the very first one I ever played. And I loved it as a kid. I didn't really get into the 3DS until very late in the generation for Sun and Moon. And kind of as I'll get one other game for this. I got New Leaf, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't get into it as much as I did the GameCube. I am 100% hooked. I'm into the Switch one more than I was in the GameCube. I'm having a blast building my island. I started my island with 2 villagers. One of them is a bulldog named Mac, which, Steven, you know where I live. Perfect villager for me to have. He's my favorite villager right now. And then I think she's a horse. No, she can't be a horse. Maybe she's a deer. I'm not really sure what she is, but her name's Fuchsia, and she's this bright pink, let's call her an antelope or a deer, I don't know. She's this bright pink antelope first thing, and she's okay. I don't like hate her or anything. She's been fine, but she's not my favorite villager yet. And then obviously Tom Nook and all that are there. But the first night, you pick where your home is, and I really like my island. I've got my home. So your island has rivers that run through it, Stephen. Yeah. And I wanted there are certain things you can't change about your island. Like eventually we're going to be able to terraform and do all sorts of other stuff. But one of the things you can't change is where your river exits to the ocean. So like sand and beaches are not terraformable. So those exit ways are the only things you cannot change. So I knew going into it that I wanted both exit points to be on the south end of the island and almost create like a dome in the island. So like there's a part under the river and then a part over the river. So I found an island that did that. But a nice feature that I didn't realize when I was just picking the island, but once I got on it, was at the top of my dome, there is a 3-level waterfall, and the river splits from that point. And there's a nice little like almost peninsula that the island made going to that point. So I put my house right there. So I've got like a 3-layer waterfall behind me, and then the river goes around my house. So I really love where I got to pick there and everything. But the first night, Animal Crossing is a slow-paced game, but if you play it like a maniac, it goes a lot faster. I'm not time traveling, like that's a rule. I'm not going to time travel at all to like change my time clock on the game to be, the next day or whatever. I've told myself I'm not going to do that. But I took off Friday to drive to the coast for this wedding I was shooting this weekend. So I stayed up late Thursday night to play. So actually, technically, Thursday night was my day 1. And then, so I had a lot of things set up when I woke up Friday. But a lot of the major events take a day to happen. So like I set up my tent, and I got everything situated, and I started construction on something. I'm pretty sure it was Blathers, who is the museum curator who collects all your bugs and stuff. I got him unlocked the first night, which was good because it was going to be a day for him to show up. So the next day, I woke up, I had him there, and I just I basically played all Friday. And I collected bugs, I collected fossils, I collected fish, and I got enough to unlock the museum. So Blathers was like, great, I cannot accept any more donations now. I'm going to get ready for the museum. We'll start construction tomorrow. So I spent all day yesterday still fishing, collecting bugs, digging up any fossils that I found, going to other islands and finding fossils and bugs and stuff. So Stephen, I don't know if you well, for anybody who doesn't know how Animal Crossing works, one of the main features of the game is there's a museum. And there's all these bugs and fish and fossils that you find in the game. And you donate them to the museum and you fill out your museum and it gets really cool. And there's a lot of really cool stuff to go see and do. And it's kind of it's probably a good family game to just like learn about bugs and fish and stuff, because there's a lot of like real information about them all. But you have to go to Blathers to donate them. Well, once Blathers told me he couldn't accept any more donations, as I kept catching new things, I would set them aside so that I could give them to Blathers once he opened up. Well, I was still in a tent in day one. I got enough. I paid off my debt to Tom Nook with miles, which is like one of your first main objectives. And so I got enough to where I could say, hey, I want to build a house. So he was like, great, we'll build you a house tomorrow. So by Saturday, I had a house. But one of the features of having a house is you have storage. So you can just go dump things in a virtual space in your home to keep up with stuff. And so I was still in a tent and Blathers wasn't taking donations, and I'm getting all this stuff that I can't keep on my person. So I just started dumping it in front of my house. And at first it was like, okay, here's one fish. Here's two fish. All right, here's a T-Rex head. Here's this big ass fish called an oarfish. Here's a tarantula. I had so much stuff. I took a picture. I'll have to show it to you at some point, Stephen. But I had literally 50 items of varying sizes, like huge exhibits to like small little bug cases of just junk piled up in front of my home. And it's been great playing this. This is one of those games that like it's great to play when it's hot, because everyone on Twitter is doing the same exact thing as me. So I've been seeing everyone's post pictures of like piling all their stuff around the construction site for Blathers, and just having all this stuff pile up. But anyway, so that's been great. There was one specific story I wanted to talk about. I guess that was really it. I've been playing a lot. Everything happens by days. So right now I've unlocked Timmy and Tommy's shop. The Able sisters, who are the clothing store folks, have shown up to my island. So I know that's probably the next step. I'm building 3 new houses right now and a bridge to accommodate 3 new villagers that'll probably be coming in. I placed them down today. The construction should complete tomorrow if I complete all my objectives. And then I imagine it's going to be another full day before villagers actually arrive. So probably by Tuesday, I'll have more villagers, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm having a blast. I'm having a great time. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great, just like, I don't know, there's things that just happen. Like I ran into a ghost one night. He like splits up. His name's Wisp, and he scares you. You scare him because he thinks you're a ghost, and then you have to go find his wisps, and he gives you a special item. I've met Gulliver, who's this pelican seagull sailor who gets stranded on islands a lot. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Shoot. Oh, I've planted 2 money trees. So I got my house, and then I've expanded my house once. That first night, I made like 100,000 bells, which I thought was just insane because I just played it so much. I was on a loop of just fishing, collecting wood, collecting bugs, and then just selling them. And then I'd do another loop, sell it, do another loop, sell it. And I'd keep finding new things. So that was kind of what kept me going. But once I found a new thing, I'd set it aside, and then I'd sell the next thing. If I found it the next time, and so that just has been making a lot of money. But so anyway, so when I got my house, Tom Nook was like, great, just pay off your debt whenever. And I was like, here you go. He was like, oh, okay, great. Do you want to do another expansion on your house? I was like, yes. So I did that, and now I don't have enough to pay off the newest debt. I think it's like almost 200,000 bells, and I don't have that much. But I'm trying to invest and do stuff like Daisy May, I think is her name. She's the little pig that sells turnips, which is kind of it's the stalk market, Stephen, at STALK, stalk market. She comes every Sunday and sells turnips at a price, and then throughout the week you can sell those turnips. I think it's every morning and every afternoon the price changes, and if you sell at the right time you can make a lot of money back. But anyway, I text Brody, who I know is playing Animal Crossing, and I was just like, hey, are you buying turnips today? And Steven sent a gif of just like, what did I just read? Like, what the hell?
Just a guy confused, scratching his head, looking at his phone.
Yep. And I was just like, it's an Animal Crossing thing, Steven. You wouldn't understand. But anyway, I'm having a great time, and really, I think the thing, I don't think this game could have come at a better time, you know, where a lot of people are in quarantine and a lot of people are self-isolating, and you're literally playing a game where you're on a deserted island trying to build a community, and I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun. It's not, and I've really been enjoying it. So anyway, was that good enough, Stephen? Was that a good time frame for you?
A little shorter than I expected, but yeah. Good.
Yeah, well, good. But it's awesome. Everybody should play it. If you're even remotely interested, I think this is a great one to try, because it's a lot of fun. And be my friend. Come to see my town. But yeah, Stephen, what have you been playing? I know you said Beat Saber last night. Anything else you wanted to talk about catch-up wise?
Playing a lot of Division. Trying to make builds. Because we're going to hopefully be doing a raid in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
I've been trying to get my exotic guns. There are 2 exotic guns that I really want. One of them is the Eagle Bearer, which is an exotic assault rifle that kind of acts, it's an assault rifle, but it behaves like an LMG a little bit. So it's got high capacity, it encourages long firing times, which is perfect for my support build because it's all about tagging enemies a lot to give them debuffs.
Right.
And then the other gun is called Bighorn, and it's a really high-powered long-range assault rifle that can switch its fire rate and increase. Basically, when you scope with it, you go single shot, and your bullet damage is increased by 450%.
Wow.
So it's an assault rifle that can turn into a sniper rifle. So amazing.
That is amazing.
But to get Eagle Bearer, you have to do the raid. It's a 10% drop chance at the end of the raid, a 1% drop chance in the raid per boss.
Oh my gosh.
To get Bighorn, you have a 10% chance to get it, I think, from legendary missions. And legendary missions are unplayable right now, unless if you run super into the meta, which is not interesting, and I refuse to do it.
Right.
So I'm struggling to figure out how I'm going to get either of those guns. But hopefully when we run the raid, I'll have some luck. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Division, working on new builds. I'm helping my brother Andrew do a Thorns build, which we're really excited about. Basically, Thorns, in terms of like a tank build, means I hurt you for hurting me.
Yeah, okay.
And so Andrew, there's a ballistic shield you can get called the Deflector. And you can only use a pistol while you have it up, but it ricochets bullets back. I don't know if it's every bullet, but it's pretty frequently.
Right.
So he's basically able to aim where the bullets ricochet with the shield while he's also got his pistol up. So
that's awesome.
You know, Yeah, you know in Avengers, that quick moment where Iron Man shoots his laser at Captain America's shield and he like deflects it? That's basically what he's able to do. It's pretty cool. It's kind of funny watching all these people shoot at his shield and I see a stream of bullets flying out of his shield. So that's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. That's a really cool build.
Yeah, there's some really cool build categories, build concepts right now. Like my build that I'm running is a pure support build that it runs 2, 2, and 2 for armor, weapon damage, and skill tier. But I'm running it as a build that is purely intended to buff team damage and do spot heals. So I'm basically a mid-range, a middle of the road. I don't do anything the best, but I make everyone do everything they do way better.
Right.
So I'm all about staying mid to long range, shooting things a lot so I can keep debuffs going and buff team damage while I'm operating a little seeker mine and a repair drone, both of which are heal skills. I basically operate them remotely so that to heal people, I don't have to lower my gun. I'm just constantly shooting.
That's awesome.
And yeah, there's another build that I'm running, and this is the last one I'll mention, that is an overcharged skill build. I have these gloves that make it to where they're exotic gloves. If I sacrifice my hive, but like actually self-destructing it, I overcharge everyone on my team for 15 seconds. And what overcharge means is, basically you've got skill tier 6, like we've talked about, where if you have skill tier 6, all of your core armor is invested in your skills. So you have low armor stat and low weapon damage. So overcharge is a step above skill tier 6. So basically with these gloves, I can say, hey guys, even you back there in the corner with skill tier 0, you've got a turret equipped, right? Okay, well, yeah, get ready to place that thing down. It's about to be skill tier 7.
Right. Dang.
And it's a really fun
it boosts
loop.
Somebody who's not even at the highest tier that you can be to beyond the highest tier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Overcharge is a temporary boost. It lasts 15 seconds.
Right.
But with the BTSU gloves,
right.
I'm able to be like, basically to a person who is all about weapon damage. I'm basically able to say before a fight starts, I can say to them, hey, equip a sniper turret. And when this fight starts, like when I give you the go, place that sniper turret right here, and I'm going to place my turret next to yours. I overcharge them. They throw out their turret, and I put up mine, and we suddenly have 2 sniper turrets that exceed the limit of what sniper turrets can do, even though he is not built for skills at all.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. So that's been really fun. I'm really excited for new sets to come out so I can start doing more skill-focused builds, because that's a game changer for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But in addition to Division,
I'm glad that you're getting back into the I'm glad that you're able to do like builds and stuff, because I know that's something you enjoy in that a lot.
Yeah, it's what I've been waiting for. Like with the way the game is right now, I can ask an outlandish question. Just be like, what if I wanted to do this? And with the way it is now, you can feasibly do pretty much anything. The way it was before, you could try to do anything, but it would always end up being an overcrowded, distracted mess because of all the different thresholds and minor talents and stuff like that. But now it's all very condensed in such a way to where I've got a build concept that I call the Houndmaster. It uses an assault drone, like a little flying drone with a machine gun on it. It uses that and a hive that boosts skills to basically be like a Beastmaster playstyle. Gotcha. Like a ranger and his pet. So my damage amplifies his damage amplifies mine.
That's cool.
That's a build that I've got. Andrew's got his Thorns tank. Jeremy is running a pure headshot sniper build where he's doing like 9 million damage per shot. To put that in perspective, my assault rifle does 89,000 per shot.
I mean, 9 million sounded like a big enough number that I was impressed, so.
Yeah. James was kind of running a trapper build where he would run crowd control skills where he can keep the enemy clustered in place with like a stinger hive so that whenever they enter that area, they start getting stung and they are like trying to, wave the hive off, so it basically keeps them in place. And he also has a shock mine that he can place. He can like basically throw a cluster of shock traps out and create a no man's land where if they cross over, they're going to get shocked and they're going to be set up to get shot in the face. There are just so many really cool concepts now that you can take and run with. That like making builds is just interesting.
Right.
You can make a crossbow build now, and it be totally viable. There's a set called Tip of the Spear that boosts signature weapons, and the crossbow is a signature weapon. But if you get the chest piece or backpack, I can't remember which one of this set, it makes it to where instead of just getting 1 signature ammo every 60 seconds, you get 2 if it's the crossbow. So you can run a build that's focused on just making the crossbow as good as possible. That's something that they've totally given us now, and I never expected that to happen.
Right.
There's I had another one. I'm going to be making a solo shotgun build that basically focuses on killing status affected enemies. And with this set that is in the game called Ongoing Directive, if you kill a status affected enemy, they drop hollow points, and hollow points inflict bleed on hit and deal like 35% increased weapon damage. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically gonna bleed everyone with like a stinger hive and maybe like an explosive seeker or something, and I'm gonna use a shotgun so that each trigger pull is still only 1 bullet out of those hollow points, but it counts for way more because it's a shotgun. It hurts. So I could go on for a long time about all the crazy things you can do in this game, but they've made it to where the difficulty still needs work because scaled, like 4-player scaled missions are rough.
Yeah.
Especially on heroic and higher. But last night, Andrew, Jeremy, and I did a heroic mission that was scaled to 3, and it was a little bit of a challenge, but we didn't really have much trouble.
Right.
We had our builds established to such a degree where we were able to use effective team communication and battle tactics to make it a non-issue. And that's what this game is supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm really glad that we're here now. We're in a place to where there's a great foundation, and they hopefully will only expand upon it from here with more sets, more exotics, more replayable content, more missions, and so on. And I'm really excited to see where they take it.
Good deal. Was there any other games you want to talk about? I felt like you were going somewhere a couple times there, and then I kept asking questions.
I was gonna briefly mention Octopath Traveler.
Oh yes, I knew you had started that. What do you think?
I love it. I really, really love it. And this is speaking as someone who played a lot of JRPGs as a kid.
Right.
JRPGs being that you follow the main character, you develop your party over time, it has turn-based combat, you equip them and level them up as you go, all that kind of stuff. Octopath Traveler is that, but every single character is the main character.
Right.
And I love that because there is no main story. There is the story of the 8 characters. So while I do kind of wish that there was more of a unifying narrative where like you did all of their stories and then there was like a place where it all connects, mm-hmm. and then you've got like a final narrative, that apparently is not the case. Mm-hmm. But it is really interesting being able to, because my first character that I chose was Cyrus the Scholar because I wanted a mage, So I'm able to see his main story, and I've got to complete his main story first before I can move on to making someone else my main character. But I can still go and recruit them and learn parts of their story.
Right.
And everyone is a main character because no one was designed to be the one you're supposed to play first. The combat's interesting. The art is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so freaking good. Because it's like 2D pixel art, but with depth, so it looks three-dimensional.
Right.
It's just super cool. I love the characters. The gameplay seems like it's going to be really up my alley. It's one of those games that's like, it almost feels like an Animal Crossing for me.
Right.
Where a lot of people play Animal Crossing to just chill and do something relaxing and whatnot, and just, invest time into something. For me, I'm basically able to play a game that is a single player game that has grinding, so you can get XP so you can beat the next boss and stuff like that. But
right.
A lot of that is for me because in a sense, I'm doing my mindless grinding so I can build up my characters while learning more about them and trying to unlock secret classes and stuff like that. Like, it's great, but I feel like when I'm doing like story missions and stuff, I'm invested. So I'm really excited to play more of it, and I'll have more to report moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah, that Octopath Traveler is one that I've looked like. I think I've tried the demo, and I the art style is so interesting to me. But that was something that it didn't just hook me. And then obviously, so I am very selective about my turn-based tactic games. So the gameplay didn't hook me either. But it's one of those that I keep looking back at, and I'm just like, should I play this? Should I try and do this? Should I give it another shot? And I just haven't. I haven't done it yet. But
it's on sale right now.
And that might be the reason to do it. That might be the time to try it.
Yeah, it's on sale for $30. Warlords of New York is also on sale for $30. It's not on sale. That's just what it is. I just wanted to say that.
My character through. You'd have to do what you did with the Division 1 for me to be able to play.
I'm so glad you said that, Jake, because anyone who owns Warlords of New York gets a free level 30 character booster. So you can jump straight to Warlords stuff and not have to level up through DC.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I need you to just, like, give me a character. You know what I mean? I just need somebody done who I can actually
I'm so glad
stuff.
you said that, Jake, because you literally can make a level 30 character that starts in New York and can't go to DC till he finishes New York. So you literally can be handed a character that's on par with most people in the game right now. For free.
All right.
You just have to own the expansion.
You're
and if you really get your act together, you could join us for the raid, because we might need an 8th.
You're taking a lot of barriers out of my way, Steven. If I get it, can you can you hand me guns to make it work? I'm not going to have time to grind. Is my thing.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
You could join my session, for example, as a level 32. Max level's 40. Or I guess I could even join your session. But basically, any loot that I find is going to be level 40, and I can just hand it to you.
Gotcha.
As long as we're in the same party when it drops for me.
Okay.
Jeremy's really into the game right now. We played a lot last night. Friendly Fire Games has a group that's into it. James is into it. Miles and Brody are about as into it as they are with a lot of multiplayer games, other than Fortnite and Rocket League for some reason.
Right.
They play it off and on, and they've mentioned maybe getting Warlords, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to do, and you can be really creative with what you do. And if you were just like, I don't want to shoot guns, I don't like shooters, you could run a skill tier 6 build and absolutely dominate, and not even pop out of cover to shoot a single bullet.
But you've piqued my interest, and you've taken away all my barriers. So I don't know. I'll have to come up with some other excuses, but we'll have to give it a shot.
I will break those two.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you enjoyed it. I totally forgot to mention at the top of the show that I'm driving, and that's why we don't have face cam for this. So if you made it this far, now you know. This has been a great show. Thanks for watching, Steven. If you enjoyed this episode, you can, of course, subscribe on Chortle Games, our YouTube page, channel. You can subscribe there, like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, let us know your thoughts on these wonderful topics. I'd love to hear some of y'all's coronavirus experiences and how it's been going for all of you. You can also, if you're watching on Facebook, you can like this video, like our Facebook page, and then we also have a Twitch channel. The podcast does not air on our Twitch channel as of yet, but you can go follow us there. We stream on Twitch when we stream to all other platforms. So if Twitch is your preferred platform, feel free to go watch us there. And then, of course, we also have an audio version. We're on Apple Podcasts, so feel free to listen to us there. You can also join our Discord. There's a link in the description of this video that can get you there. You can also go to chortlegames.com, and that'll take you to our YouTube channel page. And there's a Discord icon there. We've got all sorts of channels for like Division, Destiny 2. I need to make an Animal Crossing turnip market channel, so we can really take over the stock market. But anyway, we have lots of fun. We have a memes channel. We let you know when we're going live there. It's a lot of great stuff. Sometimes we let you vote on what we're going to live stream. So feel free to jump in there and be with us all week. The podcast is not the only thing we do here on the channel. The podcast airs every Monday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, unless a global pandemic delays it. But then we stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. We're kind of up in the air on what and when is being streamed, or not when, but who. Steven is probably going to do Tuesday night stream. I or Steven and I will do something on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday, I'm planning right now to do Dreams on Friday, but I may also be doing Animal Crossing on Saturday, but it might be Steven. So just stick around. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like us everywhere. You can follow us on Twitter too. We also share when we go live there. That's at Chortle Games on Twitter. The Facebook page is at Chortle Games as well, if anyone cares. And I said Twitch, but I didn't say where we are on Twitch, and we're Twitch. We're Chortle_Games on Twitch. There you go. Now I'm here. I'm caught up. Look, I'm sick. I'm dealing with sinus infection. You know, the coronavirus really picked a horrible time for me. You know, I mean, like, it's not convenient for anybody, but I'm dealing with sinuses, you know. I'm dealing with my normal April guck. So people are looking at me because I'm coughing, and they're like, oh my God, this kid's got the corona, and I just have a serious sinus infection from all the pollen. So I apologize. But anyway, that's going to be it for the show this week. Thank you guys for watching, listening. Steven, thank you for tuning in and all of our good conversation. It's good to talk to you, buddy. You know what I mean? It's just good to talk to you, especially in all this time of social distancing.
Right. I've missed it.
I have too. I have as well. We don't even really get to see each other anymore. Since we've stopped doing the Let's Plays, we don't really get together.
Yeah.
And have like a whole day that we just film. We may have to do like a special live stream where we just get together for like a couple hours. Anyway, we'll figure something out. That's going to be it for today's show.
Maybe we should do...
What?
Maybe we should do like how we used to do the long distance Let's Plays, where like I would record my stuff and you would record your stuff, and maybe we do a you playing Animal Crossing while I'm playing Doom, and we just talk and we keep the audio for both games happening at the exact same time.
Steven, that's a great idea. Let's do it. All right.
The novelty, I feel, would wear off very quickly, but it'd be really strong novelty while it was in effect.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We'll have to figure that out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this week's podcast. We appreciate you. Be good to one another. Stay indoors and stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.